In the history of warfare, there are numerous famous names known for their military genius. Figures like Alexander the Great, Napoleon, Sun Tzu, and Julius Caesar are familiar to us. But this time, we will discuss a military genius who played a significant role in World War I and II. That person's name is Johannes Erwin Rommel, a genius Nazi German field marshal who was dubbed the Desert Fox. Erwin Rommel was born in Württemberg, Germany, in 1891. His father was a schoolteacher and headmaster, while his mother was a local government counsel's daughter. During his childhood, Rommel had an interest in mechanics, and often spent his free time disassembling or assembling machines. Although he had no interest in the military world, Rommel's father encouraged him to pursue a career as a military officer. In 1910, he enrolled in the officer cadet school in Danzig and graduated as a lieutenant in 1912. At the age of 18, Rommel joined the Württemberg Infantry Regiment No. 124 in Weingarten. While at the cadet school, Rommel met his future wife, Lucy Maria Malin, who was 17 years old and of Italian-Polish descent. World War I. His military career took off on August 22, 1914, as a platoon commander in the Battle of Verdun, France. There, Rommel achieved a victory when he and his 3 subordinates fired at the unprepared French garrison. Despite lacking ammunition while the French soldiers were armed, Rommel managed to swiftly move to the enemy's front lines and maneuvered to flank them for a surprise attack. However, in that battle, Rommel suffered a leg injury from a gunshot. To honor his actions in 1914 and 1915, Rommel was awarded the Iron Cross Second Class. Rommel not only dealt with France but was also assigned to tasks in Italy and Romania during World War I. One of Rommel's most remarkable victories occurred when he led his troops in the mountainous region of Caporetto, Italy. In the Battle of Caporetto, his forces captured 9,000 Italian soldiers, including 150 officers, with only 6 casualties and 30 wounded. Rommel achieved this extraordinary success by utilizing the terrain to surround the Italian forces and launching unexpected or rear attacks. To commemorate his role in the Battle of Caporetto, Erwin Rommel was later awarded the Pour le Mérite, and promoted to the rank of first lieutenant in 1918. After World War I. After the end of World War I, he was stationed at the 124th Regiment until October 1, 1920, and then transferred to the 13th Infantry Regiment in Stuttgart as a captain. In his unit, Rommel was assigned to quell the post-World War I civil unrest and chaos in Germany. Despite being highly skilled in warfare, Rommel made every effort to avoid using violence and preferred the path of diplomacy. One of his negotiation successes occurred in Lindau, where the city was under the control of communist revolutionary forces. Rommel negotiated with the city council and convinced them to restore power to the legitimate government. Between 1929 and 1933, Rommel was appointed as an instructor at the Dresden Infantry School. There, Rommel taught his students to always behave politely and avoid speaking in a harsh or sharp tone. While serving as an instructor, Rommel also devoted his writing talents and produced an infantry training book published in 1934. Rommel was then promoted to the rank of lieutenant colonel in October 1933, and given command of the 3rd Jaeger Battalion, 17th Infantry Regiment, based in Goslar. In 1934, he first met Hitler while still serving as a counselor. Due to his strong character and leadership qualities, Hitler specifically requested Rommel to join his Special Guard unit in October 1938. As a member of the Guard unit, Rommel had more free time to study engines, mechanics, engine combustion systems, and heavy weapons. In 1938, Rommel began to lean towards accepting the Nazi regime, although this couldn't be confirmed at the time. According to other evidence, Rommel showed that the Nazi racial ideology was nonsense, even protecting Jews in his area when he was still a junior officer. However, Despite this, Rommel was not actively advocating for the rights of Jews. World War II. On September 1, 1939, when Germany invaded Poland, Rommel had been promoted to the rank of Major General and was entrusted with protecting Hitler when the war broke out. The success in Poland apparently sparked Rommel's interest in returning to the battlefield. He tried to convince Hitler to assign him to one of the panzer divisions. In February 1940, Rommel was entrusted with commanding the 7th Panzer Division, consisting of 218 tanks in 3 battalions, 2 assault rifle regiments, 1 engineering battalion, and an anti-tank battalion. With Hitler's trust in him, Rommel sought to demonstrate his skills on the battlefield. At the beginning of the battle, Rommel's plan did not go as intended because the bridges that served as access points for his attacking forces had been blown up by the French. However, with his genius, he set fire to the houses around the bridges to create a smoke cover and used equipment from the 5th Panzer Division to cross. Rommel even waded into the river himself and encouraged his soldiers to counterattack the French army. After successfully reaching Avesnes on May 16, 1940, Rommel disregarded orders from superiors and continued to advance towards Cateau. That night, the French Second Army Corps was destroyed, and on May 17, Rommel's forces captured 10,000 prisoners, with only 36 losses in the process. Rommel's forces continuously managed to penetrate the French defenses. Together with the 7th Panzer Division, he was then ordered to advance towards Cherbourg, where the British forces were being evacuated. Rommel's division advanced 240 kilometers in just 24 hours, and after 2 days of bombing, the French garrison surrendered on June 19. One proof of Rommel's brilliance was when his troops got so caught up in fighting that they unknowingly pushed through enemy lines for 100 kilometers and reached the Rouen area. With Rommel's speed and tactical surprise, the 7th Panzer Division earned the nickname Gespenster Division or Ghost Division because Rommel's troop movements often went unseen by the enemy or their own comrades, often losing contact with OKW headquarters. After France signed an armistice on June 22, this division was placed as a reserve, intended to be deployed in Germany's planned invasion of England. However, since the German Luftwaffe failed to achieve satisfactory results in the air attacks on London, and the Kriegsmarine was significantly outnumbered by the Royal Navy, Rommel was assigned to assist the Italian forces fighting the British in North Africa. Seeing the Italian forces continuously pushed back by the British, Hitler then formed a special force called the Afrika Korps, led directly by Erwin Rommel. Although Rommel and Hitler appeared to have a close relationship, their personalities were actually quite different. Rommel had a strong concern for his troops, as he believed that after the war, Germany would need many people, so he tried to minimize casualties as much as possible. On the other hand, Hitler seemed indifferent to his troops and only prioritized his goal of dominating Europe. Returning to the beginning, Rommel arrived in the city of Tripoli, Libya, with the Afrika Korps in 1941. There, he was under the overall command of Italian General, Italo Garibaldi. Although the German High Command ordered Rommel to adopt a defensive stance, he refused and launched an attack on the British forces on March 24. With the support of the 5th Light Division and 2 Italian divisions, British intelligence was shocked since Rommel had been ordered to hold the line until at least May, when the 15th Panzer Division would arrive. As a result of Rommel's actions, the British forces were unprepared to withstand the onslaught. In addition to his genius in warfare, Rommel was also highly skilled at finding opportunities. One example is the Flak 88 anti-aircraft gun, which he successfully transformed into an anti-tank weapon. Using 88mm shells, the Matilda tanks that were obstacles for the Italian forces were easily disabled by this weapon. Out of the 18 destroyed Matilda tanks, at least 15 were destroyed by attacks from the Flak 88. With Rommel's arrival, the previously British-controlled Italian colonies were reclaimed by Rommel. Elagilia was captured on March 24, 1941, followed by the port city of Benghazi on April 3, 1941. It was through these successes that Rommel gained the nickname Desert Fox. Rommel's glory began to decline on June 21, 1942, when his forces attempted to retake the port city of Tobruk but were halted at the town of El Alamein. Rommel's offensive aimed to attack the Egyptian capital, Alexandria, and cut off the British logistic supply lines from India through the Suez Canal, as well as gain control of oil fields in the Middle East. Elsewhere, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, seeing the Allied forces' setbacks, attempted to send a general to Africa who would become Rommel's formidable rival in battle. This officer had tactics that were opposite to Rommel's, as Rommel was known to be highly aggressive while this officer tended to be patient and defensive. The name of this officer was Bernard Law Montgomery. The Battle of Alam el Halfa, which took place from August 30 to September 5, 1942, marked the beginning of the Allies' victory against the Germans in North Africa. After months in Africa, Rommel took leave to undergo treatment for his heart condition. Eventually, General George Stumm took over the position in North Africa. However, Stumm died due to chronic high blood pressure, which permanently reddened his face. After Stumm's death, Rommel was summoned by Hitler to return to North Africa. Rommel's return to Africa brought him devastating news, as the Axis forces did not have sufficient supplies. His presence in Africa this time was not for long, as his forces failed to attack the British and were ordered to retreat to Libya. On November 8, 1942, Rommel was trapped between the British in the east and the Americans in the west. A month later, in December, Tobruk, Benghazi, and Elagilia were once again under Allied control. Seeing Rommel's deteriorating health condition, on March 9, 1943, he left North Africa and never returned to the continent again. After his failure in carrying out his mission in North Africa, the German military decided to send Rommel to the Atlantic Wall. Rommel death. On June 6, 1944, 150,000 Allied troops set foot on the beaches of Normandy. Erwin Rommel, who was assigned to prevent the Allied forces from entering France, met with failure. Rommel then advised Hitler to engage in negotiations with the opposing side, as he saw the Allied troops increasingly cornering Germany. On July 20, 1944, a group of Nazi leaders planning to overthrow Hitler detonated a bomb during a conference where Hitler was discussing the conditions of his troops on the battlefield. At around 12:42 p.m., a loud explosion destroyed the room, blowing apart the ceiling and setting fire to the debris that fell within. Unfortunately, the assassination attempt failed as Hitler only sustained an injury to his right arm. Upon learning of the assassination attempt against him, Hitler ordered the execution of the conspirators. One of the conspirators implicated Erwin Rommel in the assassination plot, although it is uncertain whether Rommel was actively involved in the plot. Hitler, aware of Rommel as a talented and respected general among the German people, gave Rommel the option to commit suicide and stage his death as a result of battle wounds, or face a trial and be labeled a traitor. Eventually, on October 14, 1944, 2 German officers visited Rommel's home to escort him before he carried out the act of suicide. Rommel was known to have ingested cyanide poison and was given a state funeral in the city of Ulm, Germany. Thank you for watching the remarkable story of General Erwin Rommel. I hope this video has been beneficial for you all, and don't forget to share this video with all your friends. Once again, thank you, and see you in the next video.